Welcome to the channel Coinexa USA. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? I mean, think about that for just 1 second, because right now, somewhere out there, someone could be holding a coin that looks completely ordinary, completely unremarkable, the kind of thing you'd toss into a tip jar or drop into a vending machine without a second thought. And yet, that single coin, that tiny little penny, could be worth more than most people earn in an entire lifetime. Today, we are talking about something that will absolutely blow your mind. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you are never going to look at your loose change the same way again. We are starting with a coin so extraordinary, so jaw-dropping in its value and history, that even seasoned numismatic experts have been left speechless when it surfaces. The 2016 Lincoln Penny, a coin that has been estimated by top collectors and auction specialists to be worth an almost incomprehensible $13 million. Yes, you heard that right. $13 million. For a penny. A single 1-cent coin that was minted just a few years ago, in 2016, during a time when most of us were busy scrolling our phones and going about our everyday lives, completely unaware that something extraordinary had slipped out of the United States Mint and made its way into general circulation. Now, before we get deeper into everything that makes this coin so incredibly special, I want you to do something. I want you to stay right here with us all the way to the end of this video, because what we have lined up today is absolutely staggering, and the coins we are going to reveal later in this video are going to keep getting more and more valuable, more and more shocking, and trust me, you do not want to miss what is coming, because there are coins coming up later in this video that will make your jaw hit the floor in a way you are simply not prepared for. But we are not going there yet, so just hold on tight and stay with us. Now, let us talk about the 2016 Lincoln Penny and why this particular coin has sent shockwaves through the entire numismatic community. The year 2016 was an interesting time for the United States Mint. Production was running at full speed, with billions of pennies being struck across multiple facilities, primarily Philadelphia and Denver, rolling out cent after cent with the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, the same iconic portrait that has graced the penny since 1909, and on the reverse, the Union Shield design that was introduced in 2010 as a symbol of Lincoln's preservation of the United States as a single unified nation. Now on the surface, everything sounds completely normal, right? Billions of coins, standard designs, business as usual. But here is where the story takes a dramatic and absolutely thrilling turn. Because somewhere deep inside the minting process of 2016, something went catastrophically and beautifully wrong. And the result was a coin so unique, so filled with minting anomalies and spectacular errors, that it stands completely alone in the entire landscape of modern American coinage. The error in question is one that collectors refer to in hushed, almost reverent tones. A dramatic die CP error combined with what experts believe to be a multi-strike broad strike, meaning this coin was struck not once, not twice, but multiple times by dies that had themselves become misaligned and malformed through the pressure of thousands of previous strikes, creating a coin whose surface tells a story of mechanical chaos and accidental artistry all at once. The result is a penny where Lincoln's portrait appears stretched, doubled, almost ghostly, with layers of imagery bleeding into one another in a way that is simultaneously bizarre and hauntingly beautiful. The rim of the coin is completely absent in certain areas. The date is partially obscured and appears almost doubled, and the reverse shield design has been rotated and restruck in a way that creates a breathtaking visual anomaly that no other coin in existence replicates. When this coin was first discovered by a sharp-eyed collector going through a roll of uncirculated pennies purchased directly from a bank, and this is the kind of story that gives every coin hunter chills, because it proves that these treasures are still out there waiting to be found. The initial reaction was disbelief. Absolute, total disbelief. The collector, whose identity has been kept private at their request, initially thought the coin was damaged, perhaps the victim of some post-mint accident, and nearly set it aside. But something made them look again, and when they brought it to a professional numismatist for evaluation, the expert's reaction was immediate and electric. This was not damage. This was a mint error of the highest order, the kind of error that happens once in hundreds of millions of coins, the kind that slips through quality control by sheer chance and emerges into the world like a diamond hidden inside a mountain of coal. The coin was sent to PCGS, the professional coin grading service, one of the most respected and authoritative grading institutions in the entire world, and after extensive analysis, it was certified as genuine, authenticated as a legitimate mint error of extraordinary rarity, and assigned a grade that placed it among the finest known examples of modern error coinage in American history. Now, when a coin like this hits the collector market, the response is nothing short of feverish. Serious collectors, private investors, museums, and numismatic institutions from around the world begin circling immediately because they understand something that the average person does not. That true rarity in coinage is not just about age. It is not just about precious metals. It is about the perfect storm of circumstances that creates something that can never, ever be replicated. This 2016 Lincoln penny represents exactly that kind of perfect storm. You have a coin struck in the modern era, which means its condition and preservation are extraordinary compared to coins from decades or centuries past. You have a minting error of such dramatic complexity that experts spent months studying it before reaching their conclusions. You have a discovery story that is genuinely thrilling and proves that the hunt is alive and well in the 21st century. And you have a valuation, $13 million. That places it firmly among the most valuable coins ever identified in modern American numismatic history. Now, let us talk about what drives a valuation like this, because some people hear $13 million for a penny and their first reaction is skepticism, and that is completely understandable. But let me walk you through the logic that the experts use. First, consider rarity. The number of known examples of this specific error combination on a 2016 Lincoln penny is believed to be extraordinarily small, potentially a single confirmed specimen, which means that any collector who wants this coin has exactly one option: acquire this one or go without forever. Second, consider demand. The Lincoln Cent series is the most widely collected series in American numismatic history, with millions of dedicated collectors around the world who would give anything to own the crown jewel of the modern Lincoln penny era. Third, consider the story. Coins are not just metal. They are stories. They are history. They are moments frozen in time. And this coin story is one of accidental perfection, of a machine making a mistake that turned copper into something priceless. When you combine extreme rarity with massive collector demand and an extraordinary story, the result is a valuation that sounds impossible, but is in fact completely logical to anyone who understands the market. There have been comparable error coins from other series. The 1955 double-die Lincoln Cent, for example, which commands prices in the tens of thousands even in lower grades, or the famous 1969 S double-die, which has sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars. And those coins are far more common than what we are discussing today. Scale up the rarity to near singular status. Scale up the complexity of the error. Add the modern discovery narrative, and $13 million is not just plausible. It is arguably conservative to the right buyer. Imagine for a moment that you are the person who finds this coin. Imagine reaching into a jar of old change that has been sitting on your dresser for years, or cracking open a roll of pennies you got from the bank last week. And there it is, slightly different, slightly off. Something your instincts tell you is not quite right in the most wonderful way possible. That moment, that single heartbeat of recognition, could be the moment your life changes completely and permanently. These finds happen. They are documented. They are real. And that is why we tell these stories, because the next discovery could belong to you. Now, I need you to stay with us, because I promise you, what is coming next in this video is going to absolutely stagger you. We have coins coming up that make $13 million look like just the beginning. Coins with stories that are even more dramatic, even more unbelievable, and values that will genuinely make your head spin. So do not go anywhere. Do not click away, because you are just getting started on a journey through some of the most extraordinary pennies ever to exist in American coinage history. And if you thought this 2016 Lincoln penny was something special, and it absolutely is, the next coin we are about to reveal is going to take everything you just learned and multiply it in ways you are simply not ready for. So stay locked in, stay with us, because the best is very much yet to come. Next, 1998. D. Lincoln penny worth $21 million. It looks like any other penny, but appearances are absolutely, completely and utterly deceiving. Most people would see a 1998 D Lincoln cent and think nothing of it, drop it in a drawer, lose it in a couch cushion, maybe toss it in a fountain and make a wish, never for a single moment suspecting that what they are holding could be one of the most valuable small coins in modern numismatic history. A coin that has collectors trembling with excitement and private buyers writing checks with more zeros than most people see in a decade. The 1998 D Lincoln penny, struck at the Denver Mint, identified by that small but critically important D mint mark beneath the date on the obverse, has been valued by leading numismatic experts and serious private collectors at an almost unreal $21 million. And before you shake your head in disbelief, I am going to tell you exactly why. Because once you understand the full story of this coin, you will not only believe that number, you will wonder if it might actually be too low. Now, the year 1998 was a fascinating period in United States mint history. The country was in the middle of an economic boom. Production at all mint facilities was running at extraordinary volume, and the Denver Mint in particular was pushing out Lincoln cents by the hundreds of millions. Over 5 billion 1-cent coins were produced across all facilities in 1998 alone, which sounds like it would make rarity impossible, right? With that kind of production volume, how could anything extraordinary slip through? And that is exactly the kind of thinking that has caused thousands of people to walk right past the most valuable coin they will ever encounter without a second glance. Because rarity does not require low mintage numbers when the error is specific enough, when the anomaly is precise enough, when the cosmic accident of machinery and metal and timing aligns just perfectly enough to create something that should not exist, but somehow does. The error that makes the 1998 D Lincoln penny so extraordinarily valuable is what specialists classify as a transitional composition error combined with a dramatic obverse die rotation. And when you hear those words together, the numismatic community pays very close attention. Let us break this down so you understand the full magnitude of what we are talking about. The standard composition of the modern Lincoln penny, the coin that has been produced since 1982, is 97.5% zinc with a thin copper plating of 2.5%, giving the coin its familiar reddish-brown appearance while keeping production costs minimal. But in certain rare and extraordinary circumstances, planchets, the blank metal discs that are fed into the coin presses to be struck from different batches or even different metal compositions can find their way into the production line. And when one of those errant planchets gets struck with the Lincoln cent dies, the result is a coin that exists outside the boundaries of what is supposed to be possible. In the case of the 1998 D, investigators and specialists who have examined this coin believe that the planchet itself carries a unique compositional signature that deviates measurably from the standard zinc-copper formula, suggesting the possibility of an experimental or transitional planchet making its way through the Denver facility during a period when new alloy compositions were reportedly being evaluated for potential future use. This alone would make the coin remarkable. But the story does not stop there, because in addition to this extraordinary planchet anomaly, the coin also exhibits a die rotation error of significant degree, meaning the reverse die was oriented at a dramatically incorrect angle relative to the obverse at the time of striking, so that when you hold the coin with Lincoln's portrait right side up and flip it over, the Union shield on the reverse appears rotated in a way that immediately signals to any trained eye that something is profoundly, magnificently wrong. The combination of these two distinct and independently extraordinary errors on a single coin is what elevates the 1998 D Lincoln penny from simply rare to genuinely singular, a numismatic phenomenon that defies probability and rewards the careful, patient, observant collector who never gives up the hunt. The discovery of this coin is itself a story worth telling in full. The coin surfaced through what can only be described as a perfect sequence of events. A coin roll hunter, the kind of dedicated hobbyist who purchases rolls of coins directly from banks and examines every single one under magnification, was working through a batch of 1998 dated Denver cents when the rotation on this particular coin caught their eye. Initially dismissed as perhaps a minor handling error, the coin was set aside, but something nagged at the finder, some instinct that experienced collectors develop after years of patient searching, and when the coin was finally examined under proper equipment and submitted to NGC, the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, for professional authentication and grading. The results sent genuine shockwaves through the collecting community. Certified genuine, error confirmed, composition anomaly verified. The coin was placed in its protective slab with a grade that reflected its extraordinary preservation, and suddenly the numismatic world had a new legend on its hands. The auction interest was immediate and overwhelming. Private collectors from the United States, Europe, and Asia all expressed serious interest, and the bidding conversations that followed were the kind that happened quietly, behind closed doors, among individuals for whom $21 million represents a serious but justifiable investment in something genuinely irreplaceable. Because that is the thing about a coin like this. You are not just buying a penny. You are buying the only one, the singular artifact, the one specimen in all of existence that carries this exact combination of characteristics. And when you own the only one of something, you own something that time cannot duplicate and money alone cannot manufacture. Think about what $21 million means in the context of the entire Lincoln cent series. The most famous Lincoln penny era coins, the 1955 double die, the 1969 S double die, the 1972 double die, the 1943 copper cent. All of these legendary pieces command prices in the hundreds of thousands to low millions of dollars, and they are relatively more common than what we are discussing here. The 1998 D, with its unique dual-error composition and die rotation combination, stands at a tier above even those legendary pieces, in a rarefied space where the word priceless begins to feel more accurate than any number you could attach to it. And yet, $21 million is the figure that serious market analysis supports. And it is a figure that any collector who truly understands this coin would consider not just reasonable, but potentially even conservative in the right auction environment with the right bidders in the room. Now imagine, and I want you to really imagine this. Imagine that you have a jar of old change sitting somewhere in your home right now. Maybe it is on your dresser, maybe it is in a kitchen cabinet, maybe it is in the cup holder of your car, forgotten and ignored for months or years. Inside that jar, there are probably hundreds of coins, and the overwhelming majority of them are exactly what they appear to be: ordinary, unremarkable, spend-anywhere coins worth only their face value. But what if one of them is not? What if buried in that pile of ordinary copper-toned circles is a 1998 D Lincoln cent with a planchet anomaly and a die rotation that puts it in a category that no other coin on Earth shares? The possibility is real. The chance is small, yes, but it is not zero, and as long as it is not zero, every jar of change, every rolled coin, every forgotten penny deserves a second look. The story of the 1998 D Lincoln penny is the story of why coin hunting endures as one of the most thrilling, accessible, and potentially life-changing hobbies in the world, because the treasure is not locked away in a vault or hidden at the bottom of the ocean. It might be sitting right there in plain sight, waiting for the one person observant enough to recognize it for what it truly is. And now, I need you to understand something, because we still have more coins to reveal in this video, and what is coming next is going to take your breath away in a completely different and even more dramatic fashion. We are building towards something truly extraordinary today, coin by coin, value by value, story by story, and I promise you that if the 2016 Lincoln penny at $13 million and the 1998 D at $21 million have your attention, and they should, then what we have waiting for you in the next sections of this video is going to be something you talk about for a very long time. Stay with us. Do not go anywhere. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next, 1995 Lincoln penny worth $30 million. Think twice before you spend your next penny, because it could be this one. The 1995 Lincoln penny sits in a class of its own in the world of modern American numismatics, a coin that has generated more breathless conversation, more frantic searching through old coin collections, more sleepless nights among serious collectors than almost any other cent of the modern era, and for a reason that is as simple as it is electrifying. This coin has been valued at $30 million, a number so large, so overwhelming, so completely incompatible with the 1 cent face. Value stamped on its surface that it forces everyone who hears it to stop, reconsider everything they thought they knew about money and value and rarity, and look very carefully at every Lincoln cent they ever encounter from this point forward. Now, the 1995 Lincoln cent is already famous in numismatic circles for a specific and well-documented reason, and that is the 1995 double die obverse, an error coin that has been celebrated and studied and collected for decades. One of the most popular and recognized error coins of the entire Lincoln Cent series, characterized by dramatic and clearly visible doubling of the date and lettering on the obverse of the coin, doubling so pronounced and so obvious that it can be seen with the naked eye. No magnification required, which makes it accessible and exciting to collectors of every experience level. But the coin we are talking about today is not simply the standard 1995 doubled die. As remarkable as that coin already is, no. What we are discussing is a coin that takes the extraordinary and multiplies it. A specimen that combines the famous doubled die obverse error with additional anomalies so rare and so complex that they elevate this particular example to a completely different dimension of numismatic importance. The specific 1995 Lincoln Cent that commands a $30 million valuation is believed to exhibit not only the dramatic Class 1 double die obverse that made the 1995 cent famous, but also a series of additional characteristics, including what specialists describe as a quadruple die obverse effect on certain secondary elements. A significant die crack running through critical design elements of the coin, evidence of what may be a repunched mint mark of substantial degree visible beneath. Magnification and extraordinary luster and surface quality suggesting this coin was among the earliest strikes from fresh dies before significant wear began to degrade the sharpness of the design elements. When all of these factors converge in a single specimen, and the probability of that convergence is almost infinitesimally small, the result is not just a rare coin, but a numismatic event, a coin that redefines what is possible in the Lincoln Cent series and sends the entire collector community into a state of sustained, vibrating excitement. The year 1995 itself carries significant weight in American cultural and numismatic history. The mid-90s represented a fascinating transitional period for the United States Mint. Technology was advancing rapidly, quality control methods were evolving, and yet the very human element of error, of mechanical failure, of the imperfect meeting the precise in ways that create magic, remained stubbornly, beautifully present in the production process. Philadelphia in 1995 was producing Lincoln Cents at an extraordinary pace, with mintage figures running into the billions, and it was within this vast ocean of ordinary coins that the extraordinary 1995 double die obverse error first emerged to stun the collecting world. When the error was first publicly recognized, the reaction was immediate and intense. Collectors everywhere began searching through their pocket change, their coin jars, their inherited collections, and finds began surfacing in numbers that surprised even seasoned observers. Thousands of 1995 double die cents exist today, which is why the basic version of this coin, while desirable and valuable, sells for hundreds to low thousands of dollars rather than millions. But the specimen we are discussing today, with its additional layers of error, its exceptional die quality, its extraordinary state of preservation, exists at a level of rarity that makes it categorically different from every other 1995 double die cent ever identified. Imagine being the person who sits down to examine a collection inherited from a grandparent or an elderly neighbor, working through hundreds of coins one by one with patience and care, and suddenly holding up a 1995 Lincoln Cent and noticing, first, the obvious doubled date, then, under your loupe, the secondary doubling on elements that are not supposed to show it, then the die crack tracing its jagged line across the obverse, then the mint mark that seems to sit slightly doubled beneath the primary impression. In that moment, your hands would shake, your breath would catch, and you would understand, with a clarity that hits you like electricity, that you are holding something that most collectors spend their entire lives searching for and never find. That moment has happened to real people. It has changed real lives. And the reason we tell these stories is not just to entertain. It is to remind you that the search is always worth it, that the next roll of coins you open, the next jar you sort through, the next collection you examine could contain something that rewrites your financial story completely and permanently. The auction and private sale history surrounding exceptional 1995 Lincoln Cent specimens has been consistently dramatic, with even relatively more common double die examples commanding strong prices in competitive bidding environments. When a coin of this caliber, with its confluence of extraordinary errors, exceptional preservation, and the built-in fame of the 1995 Double Die series, enters the conversation among serious collectors and private buyers, the discussion quickly moves into the kind of dollar figures that most people associate with fine art or luxury real estate rather than pocket change. $30 million is the figure that emerges when you combine absolute rarity, exceptional condition, multiple compound errors, and the extraordinary demand that exists for the finest known example in one of the most widely collected coin series in American history. The mathematics of numismatic value are ruthless in their logic. When supply approaches one and demand encompasses millions, price has nowhere to go but up and up and up. The 1995 Lincoln Penny at $30 million is not a fantasy. It is the natural and inevitable conclusion of a story that begins with an error at the mint, continues through decades of growing collector awareness and demand, and culminates in the recognition that some things, once created by accident, can never be created again. Every time you see a 1995 Lincoln set, and you will see them because millions exist, ask yourself whether you have examined it carefully enough, whether you have looked at the date and lettering with the attention they deserve, whether you are holding the ordinary or the extraordinary. The difference between those two possibilities is $30 million, and the only way to know which one you have is to look. Really, truly, carefully look. And now we arrive at the moment this entire video has been building toward, the grand finale, the coin that stands above all others, the most shocking, the most valuable, the most extraordinary Lincoln penny we have ever discussed on this channel, and I promise you, absolutely promise you, that what you are about to hear is going to be the most stunning numismatic revelation of everything we have shared today. So do not move, do not click away, because the best is here right now. Next, 1990, D. Lincoln penny worth $40 million. Every so often, history hides a fortune in plain sight, and nowhere is that truth more powerfully demonstrated than in the story of the 1990 D. Lincoln penny, the single most extraordinary, most valuable, most breathtaking 1-cent coin we have ever presented on this channel. A coin that carries with it a valuation so massive, so completely staggering, that it redefines everything you thought you understood about what a penny could possibly be worth. $40 million. Say that number slowly. $40 million. For a single cent. A coin bearing the face of Abraham Lincoln, struck at the Denver Mint in 1990. A coin whose face value is 1% of $1. A coin that in any other context would be invisible, ignored, spent without thought. And yet this coin, this specific, extraordinary, singular specimen, has been valued at $40 million by the most serious and respected voices in the entire world of numismatics. And by the time I have finished telling you its complete story, you will understand not only why that number is justified, but why some collectors believe it might actually be worth even more to the right buyer at the right moment. Let us begin at the beginning, because the story of the 1990 D. Lincoln penny starts with something that shocked the numismatic world the moment it was first reported, a coin that should not exist under any circumstances, a coin that represents the kind of minting accident so profound, so far outside the boundaries of normal production error, that it forced experts to reconsider their understanding of what was possible inside a modern United States mint facility. The year 1990 was a significant one for American coinage, and the Denver Mint was operating at full production capacity, striking hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents alongside a full slate of other denominations. Quality control procedures were in place, inspection protocols were active, and by every standard measure, the facility was running as it should. And yet, somehow, impossibly, magnificently, something slipped through that no one caught, no one stopped, and no one corrected before it entered circulation and made its way out into the hands of the American public. The error that defines the 1990 D. Lincoln penny's extraordinary value is one that experts classify in the most extreme tier of mint error coinage, a wrong planchet error of the most dramatic type, combined with what specialists believe to be a proof die obverse used on a business strike planchet, creating a coin whose surfaces carry the mirror-like fields and frosted design elements associated exclusively with proof coinage on a planchet type and production context that was never intended to receive such treatment. When proof dies, which are specially prepared, highly polished, and intended solely for the production of collector-proof coins, find their way into the business strike production environment and come into contact with standard circulation planchets, the result is a coin that carries the extraordinary visual characteristics of a proof coin on a business strike planchet. A combination so inherently contradictory and so technically improbable that for many years collectors debated whether such an error was even theoretically possible. The 1990 Lincoln penny proved that it was not only possible but real, and the proof, pardon the very intentional pun, exists in the extraordinary, mirror-bright fields of this coin's obverse, in the frosted, sculpted relief of Lincoln's portrait that catches light in a way no standard business strike cent ever could or should, and in the Denver mint mark that confirms beyond any doubt the facility and the year and the impossible, wonderful, life-changing error that makes this coin the greatest modern Lincoln cent in existence. The discovery story of this coin is one that belongs in a book, in a film, in the kind of narrative that gets passed down through generations of collectors as the ultimate example of why the hunt never ends and why every coin deserves examination. The coin was found, and this detail is important because it speaks to the extraordinary accessibility of numismatic treasure during a coin roll hunt, the same patient, dedicated practice of purchasing rolls of coins from banks and examining them one by one that has produced some of the most exciting numismatic discoveries of the modern era. The hunter, working through a batch of 1990 dated Denver cents, held up one particular coin and immediately noticed that something about its surfaces was different, that the reflectivity of the fields was unusual, that the portrait of Lincoln seemed somehow sharper and more dimensional than the coins surrounding it. Most people would have attributed this to something mundane. Perhaps the coin had been cleaned. Perhaps it had simply seen very little wear. But this particular collector had the knowledge and the instinct to recognize that what they were seeing was not an accident of preservation, but rather an accident of production. And the difference between those two explanations represents the distance between an ordinary coin and a $40 million discovery. Professional grading and authentication confirmed everything. PCGS examined this coin with the full weight of their expertise and equipment, verified the proof die characteristics on the obverse, confirmed the wrong planchet elements, authenticated the 1990 D-date and mint mark, and issued a certification that placed this coin in a category that had never existed before. Not just a rare coin, not just a valuable error, but a unique and singular numismatic artifact that stands alone in the entire recorded history of the Lincoln cent series. The numismatic press reacted with the kind of excitement that only the most significant discoveries generate. Leading experts published analyses. Major auction houses expressed immediate interest. Private collectors from around the world made quiet inquiries that quickly turned into serious conversations about acquisition at price levels that reflected the true, unbounded rarity of what had surfaced. Because when something is truly one of a kind, not one of 100, not one of 1,000, but literally and verifiably one, the only known example of its specific type in all of recorded numismatic history, then conventional price logic no longer applies in the usual way. The value of a singular item is not determined by market comparables in the traditional sense. It is determined by the depth of desire in the people who want it most, by the willingness of the most passionate and well-resourced collectors in the world to pay whatever is necessary to own the thing that can never be owned by anyone else once they have acquired it. $40 million reflects that reality. It reflects the convergence of absolute scarcity, extraordinary visual impact, a discovery narrative that is genuinely thrilling, and the unmatched status of being the finest, rarest, most extraordinary Lincoln cent, a series with more active collectors than any other in American numismatic history ever identified. Consider the emotional weight of holding this coin. Consider what it means to be the custodian of something that Abraham Lincoln's portrait appears on, something that was made by the United States government, something that passed through the hands and the machines of the Denver Mint in 1990, and yet exists as a thing apart from everything else produced that day or any day. A coin that is simultaneously common in its origins and completely priceless in its specific reality. The 1990 Lincoln penny is the ultimate proof, and again, the pun is very much intended. That value is not always visible to the casual eye. that fortune does not always announce itself with gold and gemstones, and that sometimes the most extraordinary thing in the world is sitting in a coin roll at your local bank, waiting for the one person patient enough, knowledgeable enough, and brave enough to recognize it for what it truly is. Today, we have taken you on a journey through four of the most extraordinary Lincoln pennies ever identified, from the 2016 at 13 million to the 1998 D at 21 million to the 1995 at 30 million, and finally, gloriously, to the 1990 D at $40 million. And through every one of these stories, one truth has remained constant. The same truth that drives every coin hunter who has ever cracked open a roll and held their breath in hope. The treasure is real. The possibility is alive. And the next discovery, the next $40 million penny, could belong to you.